Thank you for staying with us thus far. Still Daybreak Africa, reaching you here from our studios in Ondo City. This morning, the topic of discussion is Nigeria's education sector, Asuu strike, fake university degrees, and fake NYSC mobilization. And of course, with us in the house is Dr. Edgar Amuho. He's a lecturer, a social analyst. He has an MBA in addition to a PhD degree in chemistry. He is the former HOD of the chemistry department, AFWED, here in Ondo State. And presently, he's the deputy director in the Directorate of Gender and Sustainable Development, also at AFWED, Ondo State. Welcome on the show, Doctor.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Yes, so is it a three-edged situation on the show this morning? It's possible that we break it up, but we really want to talk about it because it's the trending situation we find ourselves in the country right now. The Nigerian educational system has been one of a situation where people talk about often. The educational sector is not up to par, as a lot of analysts have often analyzed. And of course, a lot of people have questions, more questions than answers, as it were. So we want to take a look at the pending Asuu strike, the ultimatum given by Asuu to the federal government. Recall this particular ultimatum came up sometime on August 19th or thereabout. And so far, the federal government is trying all it can to ensure that the strike doesn't proceed. And now there's supposed to be a meeting by September 9th, as it were. So that is Asuu on its own. Then, of course, the reality that over almost 300 certificates obtained outside the shores of Nigeria are fake. And again, we woke up one early morning and we discovered that we have NYSC, we have core members in camp that never went to school. So we want to take a look at all of this, but first and foremost, let us begin with the Asuu situation. A situation that has become a tradition. I don't know how you will begin with us this morning, but we definitely want your input as we begin with the Asuu before we trickle down to the other issues. The ultimatum again, and I don't want to overflog it, but Asuu is still demanding unmet demands, or they are actually, the focus is on met demands. I don't know if you want to start from there or you have some other things you want to add before we go there.
Yeah, once again, good morning. Before we go into Asuu properly, I want to give us some sketchy background.
Okay.
Who are Asuu members? They are lecturers in the universities in Nigeria. What is a university? The word university was coined after the universe. The universe is everything that is everywhere, including the creator. So the scenario I'm trying to paint is, if you can imagine the amount of knowledge that is in a university, probably having up to 70 departments with people in their different areas of expertise, it will amaze you. That is why a university is a mini universe. Having said that, decision-making process of Asuu as a body is not something that perhaps the leader can just take. They call a congress, what we call a congress, of all academic staff, lecturers in the university to attend. And whatever issue is on the front burner, they throw it out. And you can imagine the kind of responses, and so many from different perspectives, that we attend any issue. But at the end of the day, the body must reach a decision. What I want to let you know here is any decision Asuu is reaching is not likely to be out of sentiments. It is more always likely to be out of objectivity, because the members of Asuu, probably they are the most enlightened crops of Nigeria, the most educated crops of Nigeria. And so whatever decisions they want to take are going to be objective. If you want me to project this issue further, with all apologies to past Nigerian presidents, the only real first degree holder who was a president in Nigeria is Shehu Umaru Yar'Adua, a president from Katsina State.
What about
Goodluck Jonathan?
First.
Okay.
Yar'Adua came before Goodluck Jonathan.
Yes, it did.
Yes. And Yar'Adua was somebody who had a master's degree, and he lectured in a polytechnic. He was a lecturer before he joined. So he appreciated what lecturers really are, the kind of work, what they have gone through before they can become lecturers. And so when Providence smiled on him and he became the president of Nigeria, he felt too that he should empathize with his constituency, which is the Asuu. So you will find out that some of the turbulence that we experience in Asuu today backdated to the 2009 agreement. I'm sure you can bear that much with me. That is where the issue is, the controversy, the contest. And it would be good for you to note that President Yar'Adua was the president of Nigeria in 2009. So the meeting and agreement with Asuu was gratifying to the members of the Asuu. Unfortunately, Yar'Adua didn't stay long in office. When he left, the terms of reference of that agreement, subsequent governments have failed
To meet them.
to implement. That agreement, first of all, was renegotiated 2015. Then government made promises. Okay, we will look into it, we will give you this, we will give you that. Asuu sheatheded their swords. They went back to the classroom. Up to 2018, nothing was done by the government. Asuu had to threaten this. Probably, I think there was sometime like a 2-week strike, after which they were placated and they came back to the classrooms. That same agreement came to the fore again for renegotiation in 2023. Are you with me? Now, when all agreements failed, Asuu had to go on strike. And that strike, crippled the universities in Nigeria up to around October 18th, 2023, starting from March to October 18th. Now, what was one of the most contentious issues in that 7 months long strike? The issue was the IPPIS. I probably think you understand what integrated payroll system, which the federal government decided to draft all tertiary institutions into IPs. And the lecturers argued that IPs will not be suitable for our payment and welfare. Imagine if I am a lecturer in Ibadan and I decide to go on sabbatical leave to Ife as a lecturer. I'm entitled to my pay at Ibadan and also entitled to my pay in Ife. Those are the terms. But IPPIS, once you have been captured there, it does not allow any double entry. So lecturers kicked against it and said they want to produce their own software, their own payroll, which is UTAX. And they argued over it, back and front. Finally, government said, okay, bring it. And Asuu forwarded it, and they test ran it. And it passed all integrity tests. Implement it. Federal government said no. So you find out that there are issues that are stormy. Sometimes, I tell you most frankly, the government have not been taking some very objective decisions as far as it pertains to Asuu. And they are wiser now, because what you said was when they threatened this strike, October 19th, they said federal government reached out to them and said, please.
August 19th?
Yes, August 19th, yes. They reached out to them, said, please don't go on this strike. We meet with you, and the date for the meeting is September 9th. Very good. So that's to tell you, government is not willing for Asuu to go on strike. Because if Asuu go on strike now, you never know when they are going to come back. Like the last one that lasted 7 months.
More than 7 months.
Yes, even though government promised that they will pay. Well, that salary was not paid them, and they are surviving, they are doing well. So that, I think, is a good lesson for all of them, that anytime they want to go on strike, they know very well government might pay them or not pay them. So I think they have armed themselves.
So, Doctor, let's talk a little about the internal divisions within Asuu and how it has actually impacted negotiations. I mean, just, was it 4 years ago or 2? We had CONASU coming out of Asuu, and I know it's not the only challenge that Asuu body tends to face at this point. So if you don't mind, can you actually walk us through some of the challenges Asuu has tend to encounter and how this has tended to limit their negotiation strength?
Yeah, it's quite a good question. You know, government is big, strong, and also filled up with experienced men and hands. When you are in a context, you are in a battle, one thing is you tend to disorganize the camps of your opponent. Okay? United we stand, divided we fall. So some members of Asuu in a few universities, let me use the word few, at your fingertips you can count them, were infiltrated, okay, and decide to form a parallel. Are we hearing about them today? No, I think naturally they have phased out. And because also you could say that people were faced with economic threats. The economic threat is if you go on strike under Asuu, you won't get your salary. And there are some people who are highly vulnerable that will feel that, oh, for 1 month, 2 months, if I don't have salary, what will probably happen? So that kind of thing, I want two of you to look at it from this perspective. Just the way politicians are moving from one party to the other, depending on where the plum is. Okay? So that is the issue of those people who, but I don't think that has really weakened the negotiation powers of Asuu with the federal government.
So let us take a look at these demands. Okay. I took my time to put it down so we can take a look at it before we talk about other issues. Asuu is demanding comprehensive overhaul of the university system, including improved infrastructure, enhanced academic freedom, and more sustainable funding model. Others are to release and revitalization.
Can we take
funds.
them one by one?
Yes, I just want to read them out.
Good.
Release of and revitalization funds for universities, renegotiation of the 2009 Federal Government of Nigeria and Asuu agreement, and the release of earned allowances. Just like you've already talked about the renegotiation of the 2009. So we can start from the beginning, which is comprehensive overhaul of the university system.
All right, thank you. I want us to look at this from this perspective. Like I said, the members of Asuu, they remain a group that is highly enlightened in this country. I want to tell you that so many of their members had their master's degrees in universities abroad. Several of them had their PhDs in universities abroad. Most of them have traveled also extensively, going to America, going to Japan, going to UK, on conferences, workshops, seminars. So, what I'm trying to bring out is they know what standards should be in universities. And it may surprise you that index they are going to rate, that they are using to rate world universities. I think if ever a Nigerian university was there, it ranked about 170 something. So that tells you that our universities still needs a lot to be done in university. Coupled with the fact that I think so many people say and they agree that a country cannot develop or grow beyond its level of education. So, our universities that we have in this country, yes, they are trying, but how many innovations have they been able to bring into the country? For instance, where I can say yes, in the arts and the social sciences, good. Like the two of you sitting here now, you can compete with any graduate anywhere in the world. But when it comes to especially the sciences, we may not be able to compete with them.
Why not?
Because the equipments are not there. So most of the funding that Asuu is actually talking about is about laboratories. Laboratories in universities, workshops in engineering. Workshop in engineering, you need to go to a few universities that I've gone to, and you enter the engineering workshop. You'll be surprised that they're almost empty.
What about the funds given to the universities to equip and upgrade the university or the labs and workshops you're talking about? They're given funds, aren't they?
The universities are given funds, but not frequent enough and also not sufficient. That is the issue. But I must tell you something too. I think government gets to learn from this. When you want to equip laboratories, workshops here and there, you are the one who has said, I want to give you 300 million. Then you are the one who brings the contractors. The university submit your needs to us. The urgent ones, the authorities in the university will prioritize them and forward to government. And then before you know it, the government have given one contractor to supply these equipments.
You know, over time, we tend to make Asuu's business federal government's business. Typically, I tend to wonder sometimes, are there roles, say, state government or the National Assembly could play in resolving this crisis, no matter how small?
Yes, sir. If we go by history, the most recent Asuu strike, which is lasted over 7 months, the chief mediator there, who was the chief mediator? You know, President Chief of Staff to the President? Yes. Femi Gbajabiamila had to be the one who met with Asuu leadership. That was the turning point. They agreed to say that, yes, we are likely to call off the strike. The question you raised is very good. The National Assembly, especially the Senate, I don't know the committee, the composition of the committee that the federal government is always setting up to meet with Asuu. But in my own opinion, I think members, not less than 3-ish, from the House of Representatives and the Senate should be in that committee so that they have the foreknowledge and full information of what the issues are about. And this they can take back to the floor of the House to trash out among their members. I think from there they could be able to make very reasonable suggestions and recommendation to the presidency to implement.
Now the Asuu is asking for enhanced academic freedom. When I saw this particular demand, I was wondering what it meant, enhanced academic freedom. Is it that they want to be allowed to change the teaching methods? Is it that they want to be allowed to create new teaching styles? What exactly, as one who is in the system, what exactly does it mean for Asuu to ask for freedom, more enhanced academic freedom? What does it mean, really?
I wish I really understood that. I would have wished that the Asuu president was here to answer that. But let's try to look at when Asuu argues or talk about university autonomy.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to see it in that, that parallel look at it. The universities today, as they are emasculated in the sense that universities need to write to the head of service of the federation, to the minister, before they can employ just one staff.
Really?
Yes, that is how it is. Now IPPS have captured all the staff. They are the ones paying us. So if you employ somebody, who is going to pay that person? So all the story of IPPIS head of service, you must write the number of people you need. They have to, the government have to approve it. Then they will set up a date for interview in which they are going to send people even from the Federal Ministry of whatever employment or NYSC representatives will be there. So all of these have eroded the autonomy of the university. In those days, before IPPIS, the university makes its budget annually and sends to the government. That budget includes personnel cost and capital investment or capital expenditure costs. They send the government. Government looks at it. The VC may be invited to come to defend it. And once he succeeded in defending that budget, the government used to release it. Is it quarterly? Yes. Every 4 months. So they give the money to the university. Yes. I was giving you for 4 months. So it's left for the university now to know how to manage that salary. The university may decide to pay their workers' salary on the 20th. Yes. The university may decide to say, okay, with this our budget, we probably have a little surplus. A professor leaves the university today. Can you employ another one to replace him? But these days, because of the way the university have lost its autonomy, anytime anybody retires or somebody dies in service, you might be lucky if you get a replacement. Yes. So perhaps looking at these things from that perspective, I talk of academic freedom. A medical doctor who is working in a government hospital, you still have that freedom to have a private clinic or hospital outside. Are you aware of that? Good. So also, lawyers who are working with the federal government
can have their own chambers.
They can have their own chambers. So I don't know from what perspective Asuu is looking at it, whether members be allowed to lecture here and lecture there. I don't know. But I think with time, more revelations here.
Yes.
But Doctor, I tend to ask at this point, how do you respond to critics who would say Asuu is being unreasonable with their demand, probably politicizing the strike? Now, unreasonable is, it's more like their demand worry most about themselves and not the school. It's more like a little percentage tends to worry about infrastructure and well-being of the students and all that, but it's more like most of it tend to worry about themselves. And is it okay if critics believe they found it very unreasonable, or they're rather politicizing it?
I think, again, I want to be forthright here. The issues Asuu is raising, I don't think it's personally for self-aggrandizement. Because you look at it, many lecturers, I will probably say up to 50% of lecturers in universities, they are not young men. Many of them 50, 55, 60, and you know, for professors, the retirement age is 70. So it might interest you to note that many of their children are not in the universities, because they have several years ago graduated. So if they were agitating for something, it is for the benefit of the current students in the institutions, not necessarily their own children. Okay? Asuu is also mindful of the fact that their strike history is notorious, especially when you compare it with academics in different parts of the world. Yeah. These events of strike today, strike tomorrow, is trying to tell the whole world. Because these days, the world is a global village, they say. Everything that happens here in Nigeria, within the next few minutes,
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. So when oftentimes Asuu this, Asuu that, the world begins to wonder what is happening to the educational system in Nigeria. I think the government need to actually revisit education as it is today, look at our universities and compare them with the ones abroad.
Where they send your children
to. Where they send their children.
Now, just before we go for our short break, of course, shall I call it tea break? Indeed, it's a tea break. I tend to wonder, you said as we tend to worry about our education system, they are concerned. But if they are that concerned, don't you think they will be worried as to the image, just like you said, international reputation and collaboration? How would international body, people abroad see us? I mean, if they tend to love our system, they tend to worry and, are concerned about this system, don't you think at some point they should have a better way of addressing situations like this instead of going for strikes indefinitely, 7 months, 5 months, as at will?
Let me look at it again from this way.
Okay.
When you use the word image, it is not the image of the academics, the Asuu members themselves. It is also the image of the university. I will ask you one question. When you were in the university, how many foreign students were in your own university? And also you, when you were in university, do you have any foreign students? No, because nobody is interested in coming from outside the country to come and school in Nigeria.
Well, once upon a time it wasn't so.
But once upon a time
because
it wasn't so.
In Uniben, there's still a community of Indians who came and never left. They're within the campus environment. They came as lecturers. They married Nigerians, and we have like a third generation of Indians within that community, and people do not even know that. But once upon a, like I tell people, I grew up being taught by foreigners. I was in class with Indians, with Pakistanis, with Americans, with British in my class because their parents were our teachers. But today, the reverse is the case.
Yes. So that's
it's
what...
a past memory.
That's what I wanted to just add, that in those days when we were in the university, we had foreign students. Yes. They were plentiful. There were even some white students in the school. But then that was the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. There was class there.
Well, I'm going to throw a question, but we'll go for a break before you tend to answer that question. I tend to wonder if this strike tends to align with Asuu's founding principle and historical struggles, because at some point it's more like they tend to miss the track at some point. We know we are fighting for a better education, but is the strike and the way it's been run about? You know, is it correlating with the founding principles? Is it really the ideology? Was this the vision Asuu tend to picture and all that? But of course, it's going to answer that just after.
And when we return, the discussion will continue. Stay with us.
Back to the studio, and with us in the house is Dr. Edgar Amuho. Now, just before we left for the Go Start segment, I asked a question if the strike aligned with Asuu's founding principles and historical struggles. Do you think it aligns?
Why is Asuu formed in the first place? It's a body to interface. Are you with me?
I'm with you.
With the government. Because not all members of the association can have access to the government. So the body was formed, and from there they elect their own leaders or executives to interface with the government. When issues like strike, all this happen, you know, that is strife. That is contest. Anytime there is discontent in the system, it is either somebody is being cheated, oppressed, or somebody is not playing his part of the role. Yes. So I don't think federal government have at any time accused Asuu of not teaching, lecturing, giving examinations to the students. Year in, year out, the university is churning out graduates. So as far as I remember, the government have not accused Asuu any time of any wrongdoing. But Asuu consistently
accuses government.
Accuses government. That government have not been living up to its expectation. That is why I said somebody is not playing his part. Very, very pitiable. Last year, some professors from Nigeria went on a conference in the United States. And they were just interacting with their counterparts, and they asked, how much is your salary in dollars? They were ashamed to say it, because as at that time, if you convert what they are earning here to dollars, it does not amount to $500. So on world ranking of what university teachers are paid, Nigeria does not find itself even at the bottommost rung of the ladder. So currently, imagine if a professor in Nigerian university, that probably he earns 500,000. What the exchange rate of the dollar today? Divide it. If we can't do that mathematics here now, after this show, do the mathematics, and you will see how ridiculous the pay of a Nigerian university professor is.
Now when you talk about issues like this, it automatically helps us transcend to the other topics that we want to talk about. Fake degrees, for example. We'll talk Asuu strike. Now you've actually given us an expose on the amount being earned by lecturers when you try to balance it with that earned outside the shores of the country. Then, of course, the reality that we now find fake universities and fake degrees in the country. In January, federal government shut 18 foreign universities and campuses. After that, still in January, 22,700 Nigerians obtained fake degree certificates from Benin and Togo. So the federal government suspended accreditation for these universities. So again, NUC lists 58 fake universities in Nigeria. Now we have all of this with Asuu all mingled together as the reality of our educational, at least the tertiary educational system. So I want us to begin to break down this situation. Not only do we have fake foreign universities, we have fake national universities. Then of course we have Nigerians obtaining fake certificates or degree certificates outside the shores of the country, only for us to discover this in 2024. I want your reaction on this.
Yes, let me react. The countries you mentioned where some Nigerians go and acquire certificates, it was even told even in 6 months you can get a degree and come back with it. Those countries, it will interest you to note that they are our nearest neighbors. Benin is bordering us. After that, Togo is bordering Benin, and Togo is bordering Ghana. I'm not sure you are getting my point yet.
I get you perfectly.
So probably the canker worm probably originated from Nigeria. Have you, didn't you hear of Oluwole in Lagos Island? Where if you go there with your money, within 2 hours, any certificates from any university in the world, they will give you.
Any document,
yes,
any signature you want in the world can be replicated.
Visas. So I am sure they come to know of it. This thing is happening in Nigeria. So many people have benefited from this. Why don't they also try it? So that could be a way of, indoctrination or luring them. They are our neighbors. But I want to also add that perhaps besides money, one thing that is coveted most is education. You find out that there are people who are billionaires in naira and in dollars. At some point, they feel that they are not complete without education. Why are people forging certificates? Number one, a good certificate gives you an advantage in the society out there. A certificate, a good one, earns you respect among your colleagues and peers and the community where you are. So these are the attractive issues for some people who could not have the education at the right time or missed it because of financial difficulties. At some point, they get to a certain age and say, well, maybe I could cut some corners. But you find that, you will agree with me that over time, when we see such graduates who are fake, they don't last long. They are always caught. The fake doctors will do something wrong. The fake lawyers will do something wrong. Those of them who don't have real a certificate, who didn't go through the school.
The school didn't go through them.
The school didn't go through them. If you interact with them, you always know something is lacking. And that is why you find that very easily they are cashing them. But again, I want you to also realize that so many top politicians in this country have had issues with credentials, yes, coming also from abroad. So I think the issue of certificate forgery is not a Nigerian problem alone. It's not an African problem.
But you just spoke about Oluwole, and a light bulb just went like that. Don't you think some of those who have had issues in government probably got these certificates from Oluwole?
Well, there is a possibility, but it's only when you are in government or wherever you are, if you do something wrong or you have enemies who know you very well, then the bubble will burst. Are you with me?
I was almost tempted to say the doctor really think less of Nigeria, but hearing it from my co-host, I was like, all right, probably I should just keep mute.
No, Ezekiel, I was just doing follow up.
But doctor, are there any specific industries or sectors more prone to these fake foreign degrees, or is it more like just general?
Where we can actually point our light and direct government to go towards in the cause of your stay, and of course.
Did you say industry?
Yes, industries, sectors, any. I doubt it would go for medicine per se.
Yes.
You'll be
So sectors, that's what you're trying to say.
Yes, you'll be shocked because I met like 3 fake doctors.
Yes.
Yes.
Did you report them? You should.
Well, I did call one in particular. I called the attention of the director, who was my friend. I can't call the hospital. So sorry, sir. So, and I discovered that they have like 4 doors where patients go. And oftentimes that doctor's door will be empty because other people had realized that there was something wrong with the doctor. So I don't know how they went about it, but it was a known fact, because when I mentioned it, the director went like, So I think it's a big problem. I don't know if the doctor is still there.
So back to you,
Okay,
sir.
so like what you said, anybody that wants to go to school, I think the foremost thing in his mind is, if I go to school, I have this certificate, it will give me some financial advantage. That is why you find that these days, parents are very concerned with what course their wards or children go to read. It is not important that maybe you just went to university and got a certificate that is not useful to the society. When I say not useful, a certificate should be able to impact the society one way or the other. So these people too, who are forging certificates, you will expect them also to have been tutored. You will expect them, like you said, to have noticed that doctors are doing well in the society, they are respected people. They would have seen that lawyers are doing very well, they are respected. They will also have seen that accountants are doing well, they are respected. So besides that, I don't think they've seen anybody who they said forged a certificate in Agric. Are you with me? Or forged a certificate in Christian religious knowledge? I don't think so. So I think the thought of having a certificate that can be lucrative in a way is there, and I don't know whether that answers your question.
Yes, but with the fear now in the air, how can individuals tend to verify the authenticity of foreign degrees before you tend to hire candidates for jobs, or even admitting students? Because I guess you could actually come with fake O-level result and just submit to an institution.
Are you talking of certificates from abroad?
Both abroad, at home. How can one best verify the authenticity?
Of course.
How can we do that?
It's something that is very doable. You have a certificate presented to you by a candidate who wants to be employed. The certificate bears the name of the university. whatever you, the CEO, you could do a memo to the provost, the rector, or the vice chancellor of the university, and even send one of your staff there.
It seemed like the best thing to
Yes.
do, but can we actually do it? Can we do that? You know, say you have 20 applicants with different universities across Nigeria. Can you really start sending memos one after the other just to verify and go through that stress? Is it really?
Well, it is possible, but sincerely speaking, from interview that you are going to give to those people before you employ them, it will be able to decipher who is a graduate
And who is not?
who is not. I don't think you have any doubt that myself, that I don't have a degree.
well, I could say the same for you, because the moment he came to the studio, he was like, "What university did you graduate from?" Today, this morning. I was like, okay, it was more like a test, so
Yes.
I could.
Now, let me tell you something, Ezekiel. Some years ago, I was working somewhere else, and we had IT students come in from universities from Togo and Benin. Now, there were two particular students who came in and they were put under me. And you know the way it is, you train them and you give them assignment. Then I noticed something very strange. The two of them were a pair. One was the shadow of the other. So one day I decided to separate them and give, I knew there was a problem. So the one I knew had a problem, I had to give an assignment. And I know there's dyslexia, but if she had dyslexia, then that was one of the worst case of it. She couldn't write anything. She couldn't write anything on paper. That number one. Number two, I probably was dyslexia. I now gave her a template and I said, can you transfer this to this plain sheet of paper? She couldn't write it. So I had to call them to my office, like, what is going on here? It was then they opened up to me that the girl that is with her stays in her house. They are flashy. The girl who couldn't write, parents have a lot of money. So the girl who came with her, they're in the same school somewhere in Togo, helps her to write. And at the end, they graduated. So when this happened in 2024, it took me back to that scenario. And it's a serious problem, you will say, isn't it? When we have people like that holding big position, where people who actually went to school, burned the candles at both ends, put in the work to get a certificate or certification, do not have jobs, because indeed we have these people having positions that should go to people who are qualified. It's a problem, you would admit. And I would want you to let us understand the implication, not just on our educational system, but on our national development.
Of course, if we have almost, let me say, majority of the people in Nigeria carrying certificates that are fake, our society will be stagnant. Yes. Our morals, everything, will be stagnant. After all, the university certificate they gave us, say, having found you satisfactory in learning and character. So, a society that parades a large number of certificates that were not duly earned is in trouble. Secondly, if those ones with fake certificates also have opportunity to be employed as teachers, what can they deliver? So it is very sad, but we are, like I said, we are in Nigeria here. In this world, there are about 198 countries, I should think. Okay? We don't really know what is happening elsewhere. But in Nigeria here, what is happening is disconcerting. And I think the government needs to look at it very critically, not just the federal government, even the state governments, because the state governments themselves have a substantial number of employees. Imagine a state government that is paying 33,000 teachers every month. That number is substantial, exclusive of the staff in the ministries. So they should actually look at this thing and to discourage the trend.
Now, because of time, let us quickly go to the NYSC saga, so we can have some few minutes to discuss that before we are told to go. NYSC, University of Calabar, actually said that they blew the whistle. The University of Calabar, UNICAL, has disclosed that it was its management that discovered and reported the 178 fake corps members to the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, and not the other way around as portrayed in some quarters. Whether it was UNICAL or it was NYSC itself that discovered this, now this too was a shocker to me, that we have people jump primary, kindergarten, primary, jump secondary, jump the four walls of a university and go straight on to the NYSC camp. I don't know if it was like it was a skit or this 178 people were skit makers. I don't know. I don't know how you felt when you heard this, or is it something that is consistent with the tertiary educational system? If you've ever heard this happen in the past, other than now.
It has happened in the past.
Okay.
It's just that the scale is getting bigger. But let me tell you, I have been an HOD before. When the students get to final year, just before they go and write the degree exams, all departments will submit the list of that class to the Dean of Student Affairs, because it's the Student Affairs that's where you collect your letter for NYSC. So we submit, and then they write their exams. The papers are graded. Those who graduated are different from those who cannot graduate. But the list that we have sent is all the graduates that year that are likely to graduate. So it will be left for the Student Affairs to do what we call sorting out. Okay? The graduating list that is approved by the Senate is now sent to the Student Affairs to sort out those who cannot go for NYSC. It is now only those who graduated genuinely that are now allowed to come and fill the actual mobilization form. So with that scenario I've given to you, the University of Calabar may be right that they were the ones that blew the whistle, because they are the ones who are ever likely to say that this person never attended our school, not to talk of, well, he has not graduated. I don't see how NYSC, the people that are serving, they are in their different places of primary assignment. So I don't know whether it's the community service leaders that discovered that these graduates were fake. I remember once we went into service, it was only at the camp, the day we reported that they looked at our certificates, statement of results, to admit us into the camp. Every other, let's say 12 months, yes, of youth service, nobody asked for those certificates again. So how did NYSC discover the fake coppers? But there's something interesting I must tell you. We have some people who have even served NYSC, and they want to go back, if it is possible, to go and serve.
I don't understand.
You don't understand. The country is so hard. Maybe after 4 years of service, no job.
Ezekiel, have you ever heard that?
I'm quite sure.
That 33,000 monthly
Whoa.
is something that so many people will grab. So that is to tell, okay, why do you think these people are forging NYSC certificate. Why do you think they are forging it? Is it not for that little honorarium that they are getting? At least for 12 months, that one will cushion them. So I don't know. And an NYSC certificate without the real degree or something, that one will not give you a job. The real credentials, the qualification, that's just one of it.
This is serious.
So these people cheating, struggling to go for NYSC, they just don't have something. And now, don't be surprised. The situation will even get worse because with the new minimum wage of 70,000, NYSC allowance is going to be 70. They have put them where they are now, 30,000 minimum wage. At 70,000 now, maybe as from next month, the coppers.
So you're saying that we're going to have more fake coppers in the camp? That's a lot of work for the NYSC
It's a possibility.
That is interesting.
We should be able at this point then. I think so. What are the consequences for individuals caught with using fake foreign degrees or fake degrees generally? Are there consequences for that?
Sincerely speaking, I don't know what the penal code is. Yes. Okay. You know, the penal code for social offense, this, social offense, this. But I think that could be either impersonation or something is wrong. I think there is some penalty attached to it. There is definitely. I don't think there's any nation in the world.
Okay, so as we round up, we've been told to round up. I just want your last. It's not like we often say your last stake. It's not your last stake. It's just your round up on the discussion that we have. We've discussed like 3 different aspects of our educational system. We just want your final advice, your final talk to government, to students, anything you want to add, as we round up today.
Yes, I am happy with this topic and this line of thought. I give kudos to your studios.
Thank you so much.
You have always discussed some topics that are of relevance to the country. And this one is just one of them.
Thank you so much.
Let's do our best.
Yes, since you are going to air this program, just continue to air it. The government also will be getting more aware that these are some of the ills in the society. Are you with me? The issue of Asuu, like we started, Asuu is 2 major fold. You have the private university sectors and the federal university sectors. This class of degree forgers we are talking about, I don't know whether all of them are from the federal universities or some of them are also from the state universities. But it is good that state university lecturers have decided to join their federal counterparts to form that body, Asuu. It will be good too when parents listen to this kind of programs. They should be in a position to let their wards, their children, know that one day is for the thief, every day is for the thief, and one day is for the owner.
We want to thank you so much. We appreciate him for being on the show this morning.
Thank you so much for counting me worthy to talk to you.
Yes, I am Anire Binitie. Stay safe. Bye for now.
Yes, there is news on your device, but hearing an analyst perspective is the icing on the cake that Daybreak Africa provides. Break. Start your day with prompt analysis of the latest news, trends,
Exactly, and then you see these people, they are so agile, they can do a lot of
politics,
We have to go back to that regional system. That is the foundation of this country, for God's sake.
entertainment, fashion, culinary skills,
So first I'm going to be pouring the oil inside the pot and I will...
religious and cultural events amongst others on Daybreak Africa.
For a rich mix of analysis on current issues, tune in daily from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on channel 480 and 124 on Startimes.